Bitcoin drops to 54K, 700 million in liquidations, and 9 billion in potential selling pressure coming from Mt. Gox. I'm not bad, actually. How are you? Bitcoin, crypto, morning tea. Hey. Holy smokes, there's carnage on the street today. It's Friday. Wasn't going to do a video because they're like, what am I going to talk about except for all this crazy carnage on the street? And then I thought, oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. I know. Maybe I can have a conversation with Randy Hipper. Let's get Michael Saylor out of your way here. How's it going, Randy Hipper?
Good. Thank you for having me, PMB. Hello, everyone in the chat. I miss you all so much. I hope you guys are doing well today. Happy Friday. I know you're Canadian, pianomattyb, but happy 4th, you know?
Well, we kind of secondarily, we celebrate everything the States does anyway, because we're just like the weird brother in the attic from America, right? So we kind of do everything. What did you think about yesterday's carnage and dump?
Oh, honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, Bitcoin was up, at the height, like 150% in the past year. You're retracing a little bit. That's normal. I feel like a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, we're going to the absolute moon right now. Like, we know that's not how Bitcoin works. We know that Bitcoin, she's a shocker, that she's going to go to 70K, liquidate all the shorts, then come back down and liquidate all the longs, and then get all the paper hands out of here, get all the selling pressure out the way. And then we carry on and see what happens from there. But none of this is surprising to me.
Yeah, we tend to forget, don't we? Like we've been through the last bull market. We did this 6 times. 6 times a 30% pullback. And I guess we're officially at a 30% pullback. But take a look at this. So I always go off about the goldenest of golden ratios, the 61.8% fib, right? So on this is the 4-hour chart we're looking at here. We blew past it. And I always feel like once we hit 61.8, it's an official restart to the run or the dip or what have you. So if we go to the daily chart, we massively killed it. It's way up here. This is where we ran through. We had a little bit of congestion there, 61.8, and then we just completely demolished it, which is good. I know it doesn't feel good, but it is good. So on the weekly, look at this, 61.8. That's exactly almost where we were. And I remember putting this in 54.4. This was way back. When was this? In April. Going, this is the 61.8% fib. And it was like, it'd be insanity to hit 54.4, right? But here we are. So this is the weekly chart. It's reset. So that's good news. Unfortunately, the last little bit of bad news is this is the monthly chart. And where is 61.8? Well, it's 43.2. Oh, where'd you go? I didn't put this one in.
It was my fault. There was a notification that came up that just completely blocked me out. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Well, anyway, we still have 43.2 to reset the monthly chart. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to reset at 43, but I mean we've hit 61.8 every single chart. What do you think? Do you think we can get as low as 43.2?
Honestly, nothing surprises me, to be completely honest. I know that we were a little congested and consolidated a little bit around 52.2. And then if you really look at like the last major consolidation phase, which was between December of 23 and February of this year, like that was ranging and bouncing between 41.4 and 44.7. So that to me is always a possibility where you have like the accumulation. And even if you look back, I'm looking at my charts now back in like 2022, where we were kind of like, we bounced from those levels as well, around 40 to 47-ish. And then we took off to the all-time high, and then we came back and still bounced in that exact same range before the real dippity-do down to 15K. So I think that level is very significant if you're looking back in time between 39, 40K and the 47 range.
Yeah, you can look back here. You see it all. That was some major congestion back in the old bull market of 2021. Now, can you imagine if we hit 43, had the sentiment? The sentiment's so brutal now. I mean, everyone would be saying that it's over. The bull run's over. That's it, right?
That's what they all say, man. Until it blows past 70K, hits a new
Yeah.
all-time high. And then
Right.
everyone's like, yeah, man, I just longed for like 20,000x leverage and you didn't, bro. Like, you're a loser.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's what everyone does every time. But then when the market's dipping, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't even have dry powder left, bro. Like,
I
it's
know.
all
Yeah.
about the sentiment is wild. The same people that are like, oh, I couldn't buy the dip are the same people that were like, yeah, I just longed this dude and you didn't. Like, you missed out
I
all
know,
the
like we're
time.
at 55K now, and once we blew past 55, everyone was like, "Oh, geez, I wish I would have got in." Right, and now they're probably sitting on their hands, not wanting to touch 55K. There's opportunities everywhere.
No, there honestly is. And people don't understand like the generational wealth that like between Bitcoin and alts that could be like, potentially accumulated because if you're even looking at the whole TradFi scene, the banks are still struggling. There will be bank failures. There will be more bank failures. And inflation is still a thing. People are struggling to live right now. There's a finite supply of 21 million Bitcoin. You're looking at all these whales buying all of it up, buying up these alts because what's happening? All the people with the big money know where the money actually is, and they're taking this opportunity while everyone's just selling it right to them.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been more bank failures. I mean, they got to be getting prompted up with like a unbelievable amount of backdoor stimulus, and we just don't know about it. But that can only last so long. And once that's what I think the major catalyst will be. Like we'll see some bank failures, and then boom, we'll have like a impromptu meeting from old booze breath Jerry Pow Pow, and he'll be like, "Yeah, we're going to reduce the rates," and it'll just come out of nowhere. I mean, a lot of people think that it'll be planned, like maybe it'll be September or December, but I think it's going to come in like a out of nowhere, and then that'll be the catalyst, I guess, to the next leg up, perhaps.
I mean, when the banks were failing, the last time, that's when I'm looking back at like when Signature Bank collapsed, and that was March 14th or 13th of 2023. And if you look at Bitcoin over like that those few days from like the 11th to around the 14th, I could do the measurement right now on the chart. Bitcoin actually went up like 25%. During that time from like 19.6 to like around 25K.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
right.
actually like it's really bullish for Bitcoin. I mean, any inflation, even war, as bad as it sounds, is bullish for Bitcoin because what fuels the war is the fiat. And then they inflate everything. They steal money from everyone. They tax everyone extra just because they can, and they're tyrannical. And that's what helps Bitcoin because people want to escape all like the violence that comes with the war and to get peaceful money. And Bitcoin is peaceful money.
You know what I've noticed in the crypto sphere, especially with American either just investors or Bitcoiners or whatever, the talk of tax and income tax is such a like they don't even no one messes with it, no one fudges with it. It's like no matter what, it's like there must the IRS down in the States must be like the Gestapo. Like if you just step out of line, they bring you to jail because in Canada I mean there's only like small examples of people that kind of get made an example of, but you don't hear a lot of people in Canada with the amount of fear that the Americans have with the IRS. Is it a real thing that we don't know about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because the IRS is like a monster where if you're late, then they will charge you for the every second you're late on filing your taxes. And it's not cheap. So I definitely think that the IRS is a scary being because especially like the whole thing is like guess and check. Like, okay, I'm guessing how much I owe you. You tell me if I'm right. Like, what kind of rules are these? And then you look at the fundamentals of the country where like the Boston Tea Party and all these things. Like people were getting mad that they were taxed on tea. Now you walk into the store and you're taxed on everything you buy, even toilet paper to obviously sustain yourself. So like even water is taxed, the plastic bottles of the water, and you're taxed to buy the case of water. Like if you're buying a case of water, especially in New York, you're buying a $7 case of water. You're paying like $10 for that with the tax and all the fees that go with it. And then you get 5 cents a bottle if you go and recycle them. Like to me, that's ridiculous. Like I'm trying to buy water to live, and you're taxing me on that just because it's plastic. But if I go and buy like a 6 pack of Coke, you're not charging me for that plastic. But
Yeah,
because it's water, you're
unbelievable.
charging me because it's a basic human need. Like the robbery of this country and like the taxes is just not fundamental to why everything is here. But I think people over time, they get comfortable, they give up their freedom for convenience of some sort, and they refuse to fight back. And, that's a big reason why I left New York, because I think people were really getting complacent with being robbed of like their daily life. And I couldn't do that anymore. We are still
Okay.
chilling.
Well, let's kind of move on here. We almost talked about everything that I have prepared for this little React thing, which is serendipitous, I suppose. But let's have a look at them. We'll see what's up.
Okay,
Before
cool.
about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures or psychological warfare to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
Ideological subversion. I mean, like we're talking about like the back to the taxes. Like I was going to ask, can it change? Can the tax system change, or does it need a massive overhaul and revolution?
We need a revolution. We're due for one. I think we're already in a civil war, I believe, within the country, and we're also at a world war. And I think a lot of us are not aware of that. Especially like I think people really ignore things, like especially in when I was in Brooklyn, right? I lived right near the army base, and all day and all night throughout Brooklyn, Manhattan, wherever you went, there were like massive aircrafts that you look up what they are, and some of them were not on the public radar, some of them were on the public radar, and they actually have bombs strapped to them. This is something that's only been happening since COVID. And everyone looks up and they're like, ah, okay. And like, it's normal for them. No, it's not normal for warcrafts to be flying everywhere. I just, I think people like in America, it went from like really strong people to very complacent people. And I think that we need an overhaul where people are now getting frustrated and realizing like it costs too much to live. Oh, wait, maybe these taxes aren't necessary if you could just print more money and you're charging me money when you could just make more and just, oh, you print more and just put it in your own pocket. That's great. So I think definitely people are waking up because now it's affecting their daily life. Whereas before, it really wasn't affecting their daily life, where it was affordable, tax, who gives? Like it now it's becoming a real issue where people are really nickeling and diming to live. So
Yeah, the concept of the NPC, the non-player character. I feel like
oh yeah.
ideological subversion kind of like got its start in 2020 when the shit hit the fan. But now that I think about it, it's like it kind of woke us all up a little bit at 2020, and I try to think back, how long has this been happening? How the dumbing down of the population did we just notice it in 2020? Did it happen a long time ago? Because everyone in this environment, like all Bitcoiners, we're almost like, we're socially inept in certain, because we can't go anywhere without talking about certain things. It's hard to have nice things because we always, boom, IRS, boom, taxes, boom, money printer, no matter where we are. And I feel everyone else with the ideological subversion is just kind of sitting there drinking beers and watching football, maybe.
Yeah, again, it doesn't affect their daily life, so they don't care. And then it comes down to like, oh wait, I can't afford to do this anymore. Oh wait, maybe I don't want to pay the IRS $1 million to live and just breathe. Yeah, I think it's a big problem. I think it's a big problem, and I think even I was one telling people like before 2020, and like when I was 16, 17, telling like family, friends, and people started to think I was nuts because I was like, the news is lying to you. Like, there's a lot of things that are really wrong with the world, and like they're telling you about all these wars and things, but like, where's the proof of anything? Like they'll say like, oh, a bomb went off somewhere, but then they'll show like a star in the sky and that's the bomb going off. Like, where that could be in your backyard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there people are just watching the TV with just statements being made and no questions asked. And I think when the lockdowns happened and certain things started to happen, that maybe they started to question it just a little bit more. But there's a lot of people that I believe are in denial, like, oh yeah, the government wouldn't do that. But like, who's the government to you? Like,
Right.
Big Brother, who? Like, is that your big brother? No. Are they here to protect you? No. Like, if you ever hear that, then you run.
Right. I notice it with my parents' generation because in their defense, they kind of grew up with a normal government and the propaganda machine wasn't as huge. So they had one channel that gave them the news, and it was somewhat unbiased, as unbiased as it can get. But the government actually wasn't out to get them, so to speak, when they were growing up. So now that we're in this phase where basically the government is out to get you, steal everything you have, they're in disbelief. They can't even fathom it, and they think that we're like crazy for thinking this. And I can't help but think they have to be incredibly insane to not see what's going on. But you know, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm used to people thinking I'm crazy. I dealt with it for years. And so, I just know that when you're on your own path and you're thinking something that a lot of people aren't, then some of the time it is the right way. But then it also makes you question, like sometimes, like, 2019 ish, I was questioning myself and being like, you know what, am I the problem? That everyone thinks I'm crazy for saying these things, and they don't even want to be friends with me, or family doesn't want to speak to me because I'm telling them the banks are going to fail. And like, I got called every name in the book. Just like a conspiracy theorist, a supreme, like all these weird things, like, oh, you're with Q, and like whatever that group was, Q Anon, whatever it was, just for saying things that I had sufficient evidence for. Like, yeah, here's the evidence that the banks are going to fail. Here's the evidence that A, B, and C is a lie, and people just don't care, and it's really weird. But again, I think a lot of people really are waking up, and when you see evidence, and even the news with like even the lockdowns and certain things that they made you do, they're now turning around and saying, hey, maybe that wasn't the whole truth, or maybe that wasn't like the information that was supposed to be given. I don't know. But it's a wild time in the world. It's a wild time, and I think if you're thinking different and outside the box, then maybe you're right. And I think if you have a feeling in your gut, you freaking you go for it. You believe in it, because honestly, like, no one's going to make it for you but you. No one's going to watch out for you but you. And if you have some feeling, you know something is happening, you have sufficient evidence, you're not just like thinking something because you can think it, then yeah, like, stick to your conviction.
Amen to that.
Well, is there a globalist conspiracy to control everything we do, from our financial transactions, take away our cash, make us use their garbage central bank digital currencies? How about carbon footprint? You traveled too much this month. You took an airplane flight way too many times this month, so you can't get in your car and go visit grandma anymore. You're not allowed to buy gasoline this month. You can't do that. Why not go out and buy an electric car? You schlep. Go out and do that, because you'd be better for the globalists, right? What about our food supply? Highly processed food they want you to eat, these fake meat patties with 80 ingredients inside of them. And when you get cancer, then use our medicines. We made these medicines ready to go. It's all convenient, isn't it? It sure as hell feels like there is a globalist conspiracy right now.
It sure as hell does feel like there's a global conspiracy. The food system is even unbelievable like that. Wait, I feel like nutrition and health is on the back of every Bitcoiner. Like once you understand the truth of how money works based on your knowledge and of Bitcoin, you start thinking how other things work, right? And then you get into the food system, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. People eat this shit. And like, if you go to, we have what's called Safeway. I guess it's like your run-of-the-mill grocery store. How many aisles of absolute garbage there is in it's like 98% garbage.
Yeah, when I was younger, I never really enjoyed candy too much. There were like certain things that, of course, you like, but then as I got older and I started like learning about Bitcoin, learning about money, and like, again, Bitcoin woke me up to probably like the whole world. And I look at the grocery store and I look at certain things, I won't even buy them. Like it's even eggs, like, at home, like during the summer, I had like my Amish lady from the farmer's market in the Walgreens parking lot. And that's where I got my eggs, and it was delicious. And there was such a big difference. And it makes you think, like, what are they feeding you? And it even like moving, like, from New York to where I am now, and the quality of food, like bacon, I would never even order at home because it was nasty. It didn't taste good. And no matter where I got it from, I got bacon 2-3 times down here at different places, and it was a world of difference. Like, I couldn't believe what the difference was. And it was honestly a little bit frightening, that like the difference between cities, and especially in New York, like everything was pretty much garbage over there. Like, finding good food was really hard. Finding good chicken, finding good meat, all of that was a really big issue. So I think that definitely, like, you got to be really picky about where you go. You got to be really picky about where you eat. And that's why I started cooking a lot too, because I was just like, at least I know what's going into my food. and things like that. So I definitely do think that there's obviously, it's not even a conspiracy that they're trying to take over the world. It's dreadfully obvious. I mean, if you have to be blind to say that they're not. If you look at the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, they're a group of unelected bureaucrat central bankers that control literally 95% of the global economy. That is the elite. And even those are just the fronts for whoever is behind that. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit scary that like one group of people that no one even knows controls everything. And it's people from every country, like Christine Lagarde from the ECB, Jerome Powell, like Hong Kong, Australia, Thailand, the UAE, like it's all these countries that don't politically align, but yet they do because it comes down to money. And the people that create this stuff are the people that never have to worry about carbon credits. They never have to worry about any of this stuff. Like they talk about like us with our carbon credits drinking out of freaking paper straws that disintegrate in a minute. But Kim Kardashian went and flew a private jet from her house to France to eat a piece of cheesecake and came home. Like, is she allowed to do that? Like Taylor Swift flying back and forth to her boyfriend's house every day. Like, that's okay? You know, like it's just wild to me that like if you're buying like, you know, meat for a barbecue, they could tell you no. Like that is disgusting to me. So and you know what's also pretty nasty, PMB, is that like these like, you know, high and like these high families, where are they during the summer, dude? They go from their luxury home in Manhattan and they go to the Hamptons with everybody else. And they're on the beach in the Hamptons, eating at these restaurants, eating our food, enjoying our beaches, yet they want to take it all away from us. What's the point? Where do you go? Where do you go if you take away everything from everyone? You have it to yourself. What's the point? Like, why don't you want a prosperous world? Because then if everyone else prospers, you do as well.
Right. In a weird way, it's never been easier to follow a North Star of contrarianism. And I kind of feel I was blessed my whole life by being a natural contrarianism. But now it's like I just do exactly the opposite of what they're saying. So when going back to bacon and fat, that to me, that was a massive eye-opening experience for me just recently in the past year. It's like, wait a second. I thought bacon and fat was the worst thing you could ever eat all the time. And it turns out that was just a big lie. And if you don't get enough fat, good fat that is, your whole body is going to be in disarray. So you have to eat fat. I'm like, what the hell? I was told my whole life that eating fat was about as bad as it can get. And now my whole nutritional world is basically upside down. I went on the carnivore and all I eat is bacon.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about the carnivore because people are saying that, like, you know, because they tell you like, oh, let's save the animals and all this stuff, which yes, like all of them are cute and stuff, but like it's nature. And like they're telling people to be a vegan and like only eat grass, which if that's your decision, then go for it 100%. You always have freedom of choice. But they're telling people to do that because meat is bad for you. But people that do the carnivore, they feel amazing. They don't feel bloated. They're chilling, like it's really good for you. So I think a lot of what happens nowadays is a deterrent. Everything in our life deters us from what naturally should be occurring. Like people wear socks and shoes all the time. You should be out there with your bare freaking toes touching grass. And like that's a huge mental thing. But I feel like every single thing that happens in your life takes you away from the natural and makes you depressed and makes you fall into this rabbit hole that just strays you away from like I said, like the natural. I don't know. It's a really freaking crazy rabbit hole we're going down here, but I love it. I love it so much.
It's by design, and to a certain degree with the NPCs, you know, if you were to bring any of this up, they would think that you're crazy. What do you mean? What do you mean ground, bare feet on the ground? What do you mean just
grounding? Yeah.
What do you mean not be a vegan? You know, like, I was a vegan for 3 years as well. So I have the knowledge base of all these diets, right? And then there was never a worse time in my life physically than when I was vegan. It was just it didn't work for me. Maybe it works for other people. I don't know, but I had to get to the bottom of it.
Maybe it does. I said, it's all about freedom of choice. Like if you're happy eating grass and like not touching meat, because some people don't like meat, sometimes it grosses them out, then like good for you. But at the same time, like, you know, if someone's telling like, oh, you shouldn't eat meat, like, you know, I've even seen like, you know, videos online of kids that their parents tell them they can't eat meat growing up. And then these kids find a chicken nugget and their whole life changes because like, it's like, they're like, oh my gosh, like this tastes amazing. It's so awesome. And like, it's just weird. Like it's crazy. I don't know. I think it should be somebody's choice if they want to go vegan and if it's good for them. I think honestly, like having steak and meat is essential. But again,
Yeah.
it depends on your preference. But I think everything that happens nowadays takes you away from the natural. Even sunglasses, like your eyes are like such a great sensor for the world. Like if you go outside without sunglasses, it tells your brain that, oh yeah, the sun is out. It might be hot. Let your body conform to that. And then when you have sunglasses on, it takes away from that, where your brain does not get that sensor of like, oh, it's their sun, it's hot. Let your body adjust to it. You know what I mean? Everything is a little bit messed up.
That's so funny because I mean, it's painful sometimes, but I never wear sunglasses anymore just for that reason because I always think this. So let me get this straight. Every single living organism on earth gets signals from the sun, whether it's to grow, to die, to reproduce. They all get these signals from the sun, except for us. Our
Yeah.
eyes aren't getting any signals from the sun. So let's cover it up as soon as the sun's up, and then never get the signal. And so, like that, it sounds crazy to a normal person that I never wear sunglasses, and it's hard. You're driving in the sun; it's so bright, right? But
Yeah.
that's another level of the lunacy. The no sunglasses, barefoot in the backyard, barbecuing steak, right?
Yeah, no, like to some people we sound like insane, but to other
Yeah.
people, like, yeah, that makes sense. And like, I even see some of like, the light bulbs go off when I talk to people and they're like, you know what, like maybe that's true. And I think like the more people talk about it and influence one another and just like have conversations, which I think is very lacking in this generation, is having conversation. Actually, that depends on where you are. Where I moved, a lot of people like to talk and be nice, which is honestly odd for me. But at home, no one wanted to talk. And I think that when people have conversations, when they have discourse, that's when you get somewhere. I think a lot of people are scared of that now.
Yeah, I kind of think that the way the world's changed since 2020 to now, it comes down to certain conversations and how people react to each other. So, for instance, before 2020, whenever I would play a gig anywhere, everyone that worked there would be super nice and always make go out of their way to make sure like the performers were treated well. Hi, how you doing? Can I get you anything? Thanks for coming. Blah blah blah. Now we walk into wherever we're playing and nobody talks to us. Like the server staff, we might get the manager come and like begrudgingly say, "Oh, what time are you guys starting?" Blah blah blah. But like the days of the people just coming up in the community, even within, we're all working here tonight. I can't believe it. I always think I'm in like in Bizarro World. What happened to people's
In the
manners?
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No,
It's
yeah, I think it definitely depends on the area, but like, where I moved, I've definitely seen more humanity than I think I ever have in the past, like, not even a week I've been here. So I think I've gotten a different perspective on how people can be, but I think that definitely, like, this generation needs work. It needs work bad. And what I think about is all the parents that have their kids in like the restaurants with an iPad in their face
Mhm.
like this. I was in a restaurant a few weeks ago before I left, and there was this mom with like a little kid and had like these videos on of like someone blowing bubbles, and it was like hypnotizing type stuff, like things going in circles. Like I had no idea. It was like
Yeah.
worse than any TikTok video I've ever seen, and it was on a constant loop. And the kid like wouldn't even like the mom was feeding it. It was looking at the screen while eating, and like, while the mom was like getting it like ready to like leave the restaurant, the kid was still like looking at the iPad. It was like so strange. I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, why don't parents want to engage with their kids anymore? If a kid cries in a restaurant, that's normal. Like
Yeah.
that's a child. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like things are just really weird in this generation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fixable because those type of human habits, they usually come about, they get course corrected by punishment, whether it's social rejection but if they're all like that, there's not going to be enough people to course correct all the dummies. They'll all be like that for a whole generation maybe.
I think the millennials that are like raising these iPad kids are definitely going to have issues, but I think kids my age, like amongst Gen Z, they see how the millennials are raising these kids. And from what I understand of like people from like I'm 21. So like I've talked to people like a little younger and up to 25, and a lot of them were like, no, I will not put that iPad in front of the kid's face because they will be special, and like they won't be able to be like, you know, attentive, and they won't be able to like, you know, have patience. And I think that if a kid is crying in a restaurant, you teach them to sit there and be quiet. Like you teach them to like sit there. Like my dad never, well, I wasn't really an option, but he didn't bring toys to a restaurant for us ever. He was just like, you sit there, you eat your food, and that's it. Like you have to like relax. Like you have to, like, it's parenting. And I think a lot of people don't want to parent. Then like, you know, what I understand is that a lot of people, like, even if you have a kid, doesn't mean you're meant to be a parent, or that like you could handle being a parent. It's just like you have a kid. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It goes into like, you know, parenting styles and all that stuff. But I definitely think like Gen Z is not going to raise their kids like that. But I think a lot, unless they're raised like that themselves. I think the millennials are doing something very bad to their kids right now.
Look who
but
it
Duke is doing
Duke.
so good. You're a good dad. I was going to tell you that too, leading into Duke,
thanks.
because you're such a great dad for like, you know, even the lyrics that he sings, he doesn't realize how important they are and how much sense it's going to make to him subconsciously in the future, how much he understands, like, you know, playing the same games with the psychopathic elites, all like that stuff. Like that, those are lines that like he sings, but subconsciously it registers.
You know what? I just realized this, Duke. You only know Randy Hipper as someone in a comment section. That's Randy
Hi,
Hipper.
Duke.
You say hi.
I already know her.
You already know her. Oh, yeah. I guess you've seen some videos. She said hi. I guess he can't hear it because we're in ears.
Oh, he can't hear me.
Yeah. She's saying
so
hi. How
cute.
you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking.
Little huggy for you, Duke.
Well, Randy, I made the mistake of putting it unlisted, so we kind of killed the stream. But man, it was great talking to you. I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a million things going on in your life right now, so to take the time to come here and chat with myself and the Dukester is mucho appreciated. Thank you very much. Do you have any requests for Duke to sing before we leave?
I want my sound check. I want my sound check. Anything that Duke wants to sing, I'm happy with. I love Duke. You're the best, PMB. And I want to thank you again for having me. I really appreciate you. I love your channel. I love the work you do. I love the lyrics you sing. I think they're incredibly important. And I think that, like, you know, we're still early. Your channel is so early. Even though we've both been here for a minute, we have not seen the pop off yet. So I'm so excited. I'm so bullish on you. You have no idea. You bring so much value.
Thank you so much.
I mean that.
Randy said she wants to hear sound check and then your choice after that. So this one's going out to Randy. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you so much.
Sound check. Baby, it's a sound check. Piano's.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Piano.
Piano's not on.
Baby, it's a sound check. Sound check. I'm gonna check this bike. So you should check yours too. Sound check. Baby, it's a sound check. I'm gonna check this bike. So you should check yours too. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video to someone you think might like it too.
Where are you going?
I forgot the lyrics.
We're going to the Jimmy.
We're going to the Jimmy, the Jimmy. Gonna have Jimmy, the Jimmy. Gonna have a very good time. We're going to the Jimmy, the Jimmy. Playing requests all night. We're going to the Jimmy, the Jimmy. Jimmy, the Jimmy, Jimmy, the Jimmy. It's gonna be real proper like.
All right.
Yeah.
We got there. All right. Sing us out one more time, my friend.
Let's get it.
Oh, you got a little cut there on your Tootsie. Okay.
Not my Tootsie, my foot.
Oh, your foot. Okay. Tootsie's where your toes are, and then that becomes the foot. Okay, sing us out, buddy.
We're playing the same aim as our psychopathic collected elites. That's right, it's the long game. Says you out and have a fantastic day. When the banks and boom, just bank Bitcoin, crypto, money. Hey!
Unbelievable, buddy. Great pitch. Great singing. We'll see you later. Well, Randy, thank you very much. I guess I'll try to fix the stream, maybe post and do a re-premiere of it because I love the conversation. It's so great that people can get your point of view about what's going on in this world because I don't think they get a lot of young people's point of view. You know, they usually get the NPCs, not the enlightened. Yeah. So
thank you.
Have an amazing day. I look forward to Tuesday or Monday. When's your next stream?
Hopefully Monday. We're shooting for that. I got to make sure everything comes in. And Monday is probably going to be my test stream. And hopefully it goes well. So awesome. I'm going to hope for Monday.
Thank you, Allset and Misco, I believe, for the memberships. I think I caught that in the corner of my eye. Thank you for supporting the channel. And have an amazing weekend, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with someone you think might like it too.